Hello, Carol.
Hi, how are you? Let me get this set up. Good. Okay.
We brought our own wee kiltie.
We brought a kiltie.
And his name is Charlie.
You win.
Charlie.
Charlie, Prince Charlie, sees wee kilt.
I like
And his
that.
knobbly knees.
He does have knobbly knees, but does he have whiskey in him?
Yes, no, I've drinked it all. But he's a nice wee friend. I tell him all my secrets.
Good.
And
Good.
I'm glad he's no human because he could tell a lot.
Oh, he would have a lot of secrets to tell back, right? Well, he's better than mine. I've got Tintin.
Oh, yours is a bit more modern, Carol.
What's his name?
It's Tintin. Right, it's Tintin, remember? From the comics.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, yours has got a wee bit more historic
authenticity. He's a honey, isn't he?
He does. He looks pretty good. Actually, well, we should have used, John and I should have used that when we were working on a Cursian, because that's about Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Yes, it is.
Right? You should have lost the opportunity. Boy. Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to change his name to Jimmy, but it's marrying like Charlie.
No, Charlie's better. You've got to keep Charlie.
That's what you
guys have been watching my wee Blethers, right, on YouTube?
Right.
Yes.
Great wee Blethers.
Right. And you have to say that, because otherwise you'll be in big trouble.
Oh. That's right. That's right.
So I was thinking about a couple of things, and so I talk about a lot of stuff on here, but mostly it's about books. So I was thinking about, I read the story, I think you heard me reading part of Uncle Moses' Boots. Remember that story that we did?
Yeah.
But a couple of people asked me, who was Uncle Moses?
He was my grandmother's brother. Way back. He was a permanent lodger. He came to stay with them till he got a job, and then when he got a job,
he still stayed with them.
He stayed with them, and a couple of times he was so tired when he worked in the roads, right? A navvy,
all right.
So tired some nights when he came back, he would just take his shirt off and dump himself on the bed with his boots on, and he'd fall asleep.
And he would, when he went into the bedroom, he was lying sleeping with his cap on.
And his boots.
And his boots.
And no shirt.
A guy who never lived up to the name Moses. He was a guy. Moses.
Moses.
He was not much, well, okay. He wasn't much of a Moses, but so was there another like religious name in the family? I mean, but why Moses? Like, was there somebody else?
We don't know why he was called Moses, because he certainly wasn't. And
I think it must have been hereditary, because he was a Campbell, and Moses Campbell seemed to be a popular name rather than Moses McDonald.
You're kidding. That is. Oh yeah, right. It's a famous Highland name, Moses.
Right.
All right. So yeah, because a couple of people after I read that wee bit on my last Blether wanted to know, well, who was Uncle Moses? And so I thought,
it was my grandmother's brother. And here's the thing: when my grandfather worked in the steelworks, and during the Great Depression, the steelworks ran down, right? And he was without a job, and luckily he had part shares in a pub. And they used
Which is always a good idea for a Scotsman, right?
You don't have a job.
It was called the Bells in Toll Cross. So Moses, when he was lodging with my grandmother and my grandfather, my grandfather was offered a job as a navvy on laying the new roads in Glasgow when they were putting in tramcars. And he said one night to his wife, I don't know why the hell I'm taking this job, and Moses is idle and he's living with us. So he gave the job as a navvy to Moses, and they lived off his income till the Depression was over.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, so yeah, right. That's really funny. But Emily worked in the bar too then, didn't she?
No,
No,
that's a
no.
different.
No, it's a
That
different
was
bar.
No, that's a different.
My mother worked.
That's a different bar. Like, there's
That
all
was,
we've
no,
got.
that was a billiard room.
She managed
Billiard room.
She managed the billiard room, and there was 5 properties above it, and she managed that. And in fact, she was quite a good snooker player, especially when she leaned over the table to take a lump. The guys all like that, you know.
I bet Emily never did that. I
No,
cannot see
no.
Emily, Grand Emily doing that
But-
at all.
But she
We
was.
came from a very classy
Family, yes.
background.
I can tell. I can tell.
Billiard room and pub.
Working in the store.
We'll have to save some other pub stories for later. So one of the things I wanted to know is, what's your earliest memory, both of you can think about for reading? I mean, what do you remember? Like, was it a book, or do you remember seeing, like, I remember Papa Butler and Papa Barrowman always reading those wee dime pulp fiction cowboy books, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Louis L'Amour. That was the author.
Right. So what do you remember? What do you remember, like, as one of the first books, or was it hard to get books?
I remember they used to have in Scotland at Christmas time, one year they would bring the Bruins book.
Album.
It was like an album.
Right.
You would get that in your Christmas stocking. Then the next year, it would be Ur Wully. And you would have that in your stocking. So I remember reading bits of that, but it was hard because it was in the Scottish dialect.
Right. They kind of.
But the first one I remember is I've lost.
Was it in a newspaper?
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, I
That's
remember
kind of cool.
reading that, and then a bit older, I read Little Women.
Right. Okay. That's good. Right.
And I mean, we'll have to go back quite a bit. There you go.
Is.
Here's the
Right.
Bruins.
Okay. Yeah, that's a more popular version. John always tries to give the kids and us, remember, one every year.
Yeah.
But you'd have a hard job trying to
Right.
have
Right,
the words.
We should send them to the kids.
Well, John bought them for the kids. Well, for years, and I remember trying to read it to Turner and Claire, and they had no clue.
No clue. No, very hard.
Yeah. But so, Mum, when you were reading like Alice in Wonderland or some of that, did you have to get the books out of the library, or was it a bookstore?
Oh, library. Yeah.
Right. You guys didn't
We
buy
didn't
books.
buy
No,
books
we
then.
didn't buy books then.
And another one
No.
you must have read about 4 times was the Little Women.
That's what I
Right,
said.
she said
Little
Little
Women.
Women.
That's that bit.
Yeah.
I used to read when I was between just finishing elementary school and going to high school. The comics, British comics, the Rover, the Adventure,
Oh, sure.
the Hotspur, the Dandy, the Beano, they all came out in
Classy
different
list.
days of the week, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I used to spend my pocket money getting these because the Hotspur always was sports stories. And the Adventure was stories like Biggles and his pals and an early helicopter. And that was how I educated myself and learned to read fast.
And I used to read the Dandy comic.
Yeah. Do you remember the shops by where we used to live? We used to call them the new shops, right? And they,
Yeah.
they were like there for 20, 30 years or whatever. And I used to go down there and get subscriptions to like Cindy magazine and some of those other.
Right,
And it was
right.
so comics
Yeah.
like that were very popular, even
Yeah.
your generation then.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever buying a book until
No.
one time. The first book I bought when I was a younger, I was in my late teens, was called The Cruel Sea.
Oh, that was a movie.
It
That was
became a movie, yeah.
that was
It
good.
It
was.
was
That was
an
a
early
good
book
movie.
about the Cruel Sea. It was an early book about the Battle of the Atlantic.
And you've pretty much stayed with that theme your entire life, right?
Oh.
right. You should see some of the Lulus that we have watched, Carol. Honest to goodness, some of the,
Oh, the films that go along with those books.
right.
I like reading war stories. You might know that.
And he likes.
Yeah, right. It's a surprise.
On TV.
Right.
But
so what was the comic? Was it the Hotspur? Or no, I guess that was the football one. Wasn't there one? Prince Valiant.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Or was that an American one more?
Yeah. That must have been your generation, Carol. I don't even remember that.
When I was a kid, and I was friendly with a couple of guys, and they got comics from the US, and they never got comics with stories the way Hotspur and Adventure didn't have many pictures in it. I was always enamored by the American comics coming out, and it was stories about pictures, and
right.
You know, the little balloon with it, people talking.
Right. So whereas Hotspur and some of those, they might have had a few of those, but it was prose, it was text. You were reading actual stories.
Yeah.
So I was looking through some of the old books that I've got packed up in our basement, and I found like 2 or 3 books that John and I won for prizes at school. Did they give out books for prizes at school?
No, it wasn't school. It would be Sunday school, was it not? Yeah. Sunday school. Yeah. Yes.
I remember my biggest achievement was at school or Sunday school. I got first prize for best attendance. That was my achievement.
I had an achievement too.
Oh, okay.
At my school, yes. I got first prize for a poem.
Oh, okay.
You've hurt your finger, poor wee man. Your pinky, dearie me. I got a prize for that. I don't remember what age I was. Too far back.
Right. Can you finish it? Do you remember the rest of it?
Oh, no, I can't. Hurt your finger, poor wee man. Your pinky, dearie me. Oh no, I can't, Carol. It's too far back.
It is because we need a pee.
Oh no. They didn't teach that at school.
Right. Well, but that's why you only got a prize at Sunday school for attendance, because you're telling pee jokes. Hang on a minute. I've got to stop this and we'll come right back. Hang on. And we're back. Okay. All right. So when you were during the war, did you still get a lot of stuff to read, or was that?
You went to the library, right? Yes. You could still get books.
So you could still go to the library during the war. That wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
And then when I was,
you just always had to make sure when you went to the library, you had your gas mask with you, because if you sat down and started to read maybe a book you wanted and you didn't know if you wanted it or not, then you had the gas mask in case there was a raid.
Yeah, I remember I was about 8 or 9, and my mother signed me up for the Tollcross Library, you know, just at Tollcross Park, down Welshett Road. And I went the first day. She said, "Now go and pick a couple of books." And she was so affronted when I came back. I can't remember the book that she liked, but the second book she thought it was disgusting. It was Puss in Boots. She says, "You're too old to read Puss in Boots."
Oh, that's funny.
Said, well, he's a swashbuckling fat, you know.
That's funny.
Because, as you know, Carol, he's a fan of Errol Flynn's.
Yeah, right. And Errol Flynn never played Puss in Boots, but he played a swashbuckler.
No, but he was a swashbuckler.
Oh, don't even go there and tell a Puss in Boots story about Errol Flynn. I can see where you're going.
Well, he didn't play with his boots on.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. I could see where you were going to go with that there for a minute.
Your mother's got a terrible mind.
Right. So what about teenage years or at school? Do you remember any books from school that you read, or other than like Little Women, I'm assuming, and some of those classics.
I remember I got a gift of a book, and it was called Pride and Prejudice. I got it when I was in the story kit.
She's telling the story. Quit editing him, mother.
I just opened the page to see my name, and it presented to John Barham of Tollcross YMCA for good attendance at the Sunday class. So that was all I did with it. And when I went to sit the English exam at school, if I'd read the first page of Pride and Prejudice, I would have got the first line.
Right. The famous opening lines, for sure. See, you've got to read the books that you get. So
I like Tale of Two Cities.
I love that one. Now that's one of my favorite Dickens ones too. That was a movie.
It was a movie.
It was.
I mean, it's probably been a lot of movies, but one of the ones that you like.
When we were growing up, we got a lot more of the Sir Walter Scott, Charles Dickens. We never ever did any Shakespeare books at school.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. So Ivanhoe and
Ivanhoe was one of my favourite. Across the Bridge. No, Lord Marmion.
Marmion, right.
Another one. Across the bridge, Lord Marmion Road. His proud stallion fell in a ditch.
You couldn't even remember. That's not as good as mine.
I was ready to be impressed. I was ready to be impressed that you could still remember a line from Sir Walter Scott.
Come on.
That.
Got it. Across the bridge, Lord Marmion Road, proudly his red roan stallion trode. The gates appeared. That's it.
I think on that note, what?
Carol,
what?
You're lucky we can remember one day for the next, never mind away back then.
Well, see, there you go. But see, now look at him. So next time we'll finish this here, and we'll say that this is part one. Part two, you have to come back and you have to recite that whole thing.
Oh!
All right. Say goodbye for now.
It was good to have a blether with you, Carol.
It was nice to have a wee blether with you guys. So but let's continue this another time, okay?
Okay, love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.